Welcome to the practical training mission devoted to air-to-ground deployment of rockets and guns. The mission is currently in active pause mode. In this mode, the mission itself is paused, but you can interact with the aircraft equipment in real time and set up all the required weapon systems without worrying about the world around you. Before beginning the lesson, please get familiar with the commands listed below. Press spacebar when you are ready to begin. The F-86F can carry and deploy up to 16 5-inch HVAR unguided air-to-surface rockets. The High Velocity Aircraft Rocket, or HVAR, is an American unguided rocket developed by the Caltech Research Group during World War II to attack ground targets from aircraft. Being an incredibly effective weapon for its time, it saw extensive use both during World War II and during the Korean War with good effect. The weapon was so powerful that it was nicknamed Holy Moses after the reaction of pilots seeing them explode for the first time. HVAR rockets were first test-fired in December of 1943, became operational in July 1944, and were used by the USAAF and Navy aircraft. Over 1 million HVAR rockets were built until production ended in 1955. The HVAR is a fixed-fin projectile with a constant 5-inch diameter for both warhead and rocket motor. It is 1.83 meters or 6 feet long, weighs 63 kilograms, roughly 140 pounds, and reaches a velocity of 1,530 kilometers an hour, or 950 miles an hour, and has a range of 5 kilometers. Being unguided after release, the rocket is on its own after firing, and follows a purely ballistic trajectory. The rockets are carried in pairs on removable zero-rail rocket launcher assemblies, where one rocket is mounted directly below the other. 8 launchers, 4 under each wing, may be fitted to the lower surface of the wing outer panels to permit the mounting of the 16 rockets in total. When drop tanks are installed at the outboard stations, 4 launchers with a total of 8 rockets may be carried. For practicing purposes, unlimited ammunition is enabled in the mission settings. Press spacebar to continue. Rocket controls include the following elements. The rocket release selector switch, guarded with a safety cover, has 3 positions: single, off, and auto. In the single or up position, every time the pilot presses the bomb rocket release button, a single rocket is fired. In the off position, or center position, the rocket release circuit is disabled and no rockets will be fired when the bomb rocket release button is pressed. In the auto or down position, rockets are being fired while the bomb rocket release button is held down, or all rockets will fire. Set this switch to the auto position, or right Alt T. The rocket intervalometer located on the left aft console allows control of the rocket firing sequence during manual and automatic release. The number of the next rocket to be fired, 1 through 16, is indicated on the numbered dial visible through a window in the rocket intervalometer housing. After firing a rocket, the indicator automatically rotates to the next rocket in the sequence. By using the rotary knob, the position of the first or next rocket to be fired can be set. Lower position numbers are on the outside of the wings and higher numbers are on the inside. Position 1 is on the left wing, position 2 on the right wing, alternating towards the inside of the wing. The intervalometer knob can be used to select release of any particular rocket in case of misfire or other malfunction during a single release. If the maximum of 16 rockets is carried, the intervalometer dial should be set to position 1 before firing the first rocket. If only 8 rockets are present, for example when carrying external drop tanks and rockets simultaneously, the intervalometer must be set to 9, because the first rocket will be fired from the 9th position. Positions 1 through 8 are occupied by the drop tanks. Since in this mission all 16 rockets are loaded, leave the rocket intervalometer at 1. Press spacebar to continue. The rocket jettison switch is used for jettisoning rockets in emergency situations. The rocket release selector switch is only operational when the rocket jettison switch is in the off or down position. If the rocket jettison switch is enabled in the upper ready position, the selected firing order is not followed and all rockets will be dropped from the mount simultaneously in an unarmed condition when the bomb rocket release button is pressed. We will leave the rocket jettison switch in its default disabled or off position. Press spacebar to continue. Rockets may be armed by means of the rocket fuse switch to detonate instantly on impact or for delayed detonation. The rockets contain two different fuses. The nose fuse, an impact firing fuse in the nose of the rocket's warhead, and the base fuse, functioning after a short delay, giving the warhead time to penetrate the target before functioning. The rocket fuse switch only controls arming of the nose fuse. In the delay or up position, the nose fuse is unarmed and the base fuse is armed, causing a delayed detonation after impact. In the off or center position, the nose fuse is unarmed and the rocket can explode from internal detonation of the base fuse. In the instant or down position, the nose fuse is armed and the rocket explodes immediately upon impact. In case of rocket jettisoning, both fuses will be deactivated automatically. Leave this switch in the instant position. Press spacebar to continue. Aiming is performed with the help of the A4 gun bomb rocket sight. To display the aiming circle, set the gun missile select switch in the gun's position using mouse buttons or the keys right Alt W and right Control and W. Move the mechanical caging lever of the gun sight to the uncaged position by the mouse or by the key combination left Control and tilde. Set the gun sight to rocket operating mode by moving the sight function selector lever on the variable sight selector unit to the rocket position, using mouse buttons or the keys left Control and D and left Alt and D. Set the depression angle with the rocket depression angle selector located on the variable sight selector unit. For a firing distance of 5,000 to 6,000 feet, and a dive angle of 20 degrees, set a value of 35 to 40 mil on the rocket DEP angle scale. For a dive angle of 30 to 40 degrees, set a value of 25 to 35 mil. Set a value of 30 mil with the mouse wheel or key combination left Control and X and left Alt and X. 30 mil corresponds to an attack run with a dive angle of 30 to 40 degrees. Unguided rockets are most effective when used against area targets and at close ranges, example, concentrated groups of lightly armored vehicles. Good accuracy is achieved when the rockets are being fired at a dive angle of at least 30 degrees. The attack must be performed from an altitude high enough to allow dive entry, aiming, weapon release, and dive exit at a safe altitude. For successful firing, start the attack run at an altitude of at least 3,000 feet. Exit from the dive should be performed at an altitude of at least 1,500 feet. Approach the target by keeping it visible in front and on the side, in the lower part of the canopy. When it moves to the corner near the canopy frame, see briefing figures, move the throttle to the idle position, or num minus. Press the electrical caging button, or tilde, to stabilize the reticle image. Perform a half roll in the direction of the target and gradually turn the aircraft in the dive. After establishing the dive, keep the dot on the target and release the electrical caging button to initiate lead calculation. Continue aiming smoothly without skidding or slipping for about 3 seconds and then fire the rockets by pressing the bomb rocket release button, or right alt and space. Press spacebar to start the attack. Attack! You hit the target! Increase engine RPM to maximum. Climb in a spiral to an altitude of at least 3,000 feet. Do not forget to reduce engine RPM before starting the next attack run. You can continue to practice rocket deployment on your own. Now that you know how to deploy rockets, let's practice firing the guns at ground targets. On the gun control panel located on the left side of the cockpit, since for air-to-ground gunnery a fixed reticle is used, move the mechanical caging lever to the cage position or left control and tilde. Set the gun sight to the gun operating mode by moving the sight function selector lever on the variable sight selector unit to the gun position, using the mouse buttons or the keys left. Repeat approaching and diving at the target. Fire a short burst. Check where your bullets hit the ground, make the necessary adjustments, and shoot at the target with the trigger or the spacebar. Continue training and attack the remaining ground targets. Press Escape to finish the mission.